Okay, so let's come back here. So approaches. So so approaches for water resources management. How we're managing the water. Typically, it has been done in this top-down approach. What this means is that there is an institution. It can be from the federal government, the state government, that says, well, I want to develop a plan, and in this plan, I'm going to outline what will be the strategies, the actions, the finance to implement a policy. Um, in all reason, in this kind of top down coming from the government, I know what the population and the basin needs. That has happened. Some of this it actually, for instance, come in terms of some of the Endangered Species Act, the Safe Drinking Water Act. Similarly, Sigma come from this kind of more um, legislative, centralized, that let's do the management in this. Then the other one is more a bottom up, and bottom up is pretty much a group of user stakeholders, the so-called people interested in water. They get together, they start analyzing the system, evaluating ideas, proposing strategies, and all of those to come into a consensus, and then recommend what will be the different list of actions to be implemented. And that's pretty much the implementation of Sigma. However, again, this is kind of two approaches in how to manage, from more command and control to more build agreements and so on. Sometimes some of the scientists, the engineers, they come at this middle and try to brief both the society and also some of the authorities, decision makers. Sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't. Now, here we are going to be talking about an unicorn, the so-called integrated water resources management. And unfortunately, this has been not explained. It has a definition. However, it can look in so different ways. So that's why sometimes we call it a unicorn. Let me explain you. So integrated water resources management is not a thing, is not a product. So it is a process. So when you are managing and operating water, and you have a decision-making process, or you are planning to implement certain strategies and so on, that process, how you are kind of starting putting the people, the tools, the finances, the legal instruments, what part of the legislation you're going to follow, that process throughout time, that you are coordinating not only the development of or the management of water, but all the different resources. It can be land, it can be the economics, it can be air, it can be energy, in a way to improve the resultant of economic and social welfare. And in this one, I disagree a little bit. You don't want to maximize the resultant economic. Maximizing the resultant economic, it will be in many cases giving more water or more resources to the ones that are producing the more. So you are just kind of tilting the resources to the specific activities, users, companies that are producing the more, so you can maximize the economic benefit. And that's one of the drawbacks of this. Social welfare, I think in this one should be included the social, economic, health, the welfare, the well-being of the society, the entire social fabric, to maximize the benefits, to improve the well-being of the social fabric. That's what IWRM should look for, in an equitable manner. And that's what I was telling you. You don't want to put all the resources into one. Now, without compromising the sustainability of vital ecosystems. And in this is still kind of taking a look into the ecosystem, and providing support for the environment. Again, this what I explained. So this process, when you are not only thinking about water, but also land and energy and air and finance resources. So you have a town or a state or a basin that it has good well-being, good social welfare, and that is distributed all that economic and social welfare and happiness equitably without compromising. That's, as you can see, that is a concept that is trying to get around your head. Some of those kind of diagrams that people have been trying to put is this. So when you have the natural systems, how they interact with the social economic system, and when with the institutional system. And if all of these, you're doing all of this, this will be one of the conceptualizations of IWRM. This will be another one when you have some economic instruments, water governance, certain tools, water and physical, so you have a good understanding of the water and the physical environment, which it can be managing forest and water and reducing an energy, reducing the carbon footprint and so on, implementation and case study. So unfortunately, many people have thought about IRW, Integrated Water Resources Management, as just having different types of water sources for different types of demands, and some other less typical water resources such as brackish water or desalinated water, put them together, shake it, and do this balance of water supply and water demand. And that has been a problem that in the integrated water resources management, and people have think like, oh no, I'm doing integrated water resources management, I'm accounting for groundwater and surface water, and yeah, that's actually no. It is a process that includes the society, that includes the stakeholders, that give fairness and equity to the people that are going to be making the decisions, but also are going to be receiving the decisions of water resources management. Again, going back to the example of the budget, when people are distributing the budget of the house, I mean, ideally, it will be distributed equitably to maximize the happiness of everyone and how they are getting it. And not only the specific money, but the associated things that it brings, as you are paying for the energy, paying for food, and so on. So it can be related to that. So some of the aspects. So the technical aspects, something that I've been seeing here is that it may include people from different disciplines, and you want to have the right expertise. So what you're seeing here is different stakeholders kind of discussing about how to do water resources management. All of them, they have to speak the same language. And even though all of us, we speak English, one of the things that it has to happen in here is, how many times have you gone to the doctor, came out and say like, I didn't get what he was, am I good, am I bad, or am I, what's going on here? Well, I mean, we speak English, we may not be able to understand what other ones is saying, and that's what I'm talking about when say speaking the same language. Sometimes it might be that the science is still not there, using the right tool, and all of those aspects. Some of those may come also as a financial and economic. So even though we know that there are limited economic resources, and also there might be limited finance to pay for the different strategies that we're thinking. Because of that, well, we have also that institutional and governance. So something that I do want to mention is that in this kind of process of deciding something, decision makers may need some information, and modelers, they may be building this table or a conceptual a way to actually represent the natural and the interaction of the natural and human system, and then provide information to these guys. But the decision makers are not only thinking in terms of these models, but they are also thinking in terms of how much will it cost, what will the voters that they elect in that, what will they think about strategy A and B, what am I representing? So if I'm representing, let's say, agriculture, I want more pipes and more reservoirs. If I'm an environmentalist, I want less pipes and less reservoirs. But then trying to find this kind of ideas that we're putting in here. This put it in again, you're building a water plan. So what is the legislation, what are the institutions, and what are the stakeholders that in this process are going to be involved? So that compound of of people, of different institutions, and what are the rules that you're going to be doing when you're deciding doing project A or project B, who is going to decide, and so on. So that decision-making process and that set of league institutions, laws, stakeholders, processes, that is water governance. And associated with that specific water governance is the social, economic, political, physical, environmental context. So you can see water resources management is not only about this water supply and water demand. It comes in a bigger perspective. Okay, so and as you're doing all of these different models, or you're representing all these different systems, what are the prediction and evaluation? So how are you going to be accounting for things that you may have seen in the past or that you haven't seen in the past but you're expecting in the future? How you're going to evaluate if what you're doing is an adequate management or not? Those are a lot of things. This shared vision is pretty important, because what I was mentioning in terms of like, well, I'm a farmer, I want more dams and I want more pipes. Well, the reality is that is again, that will be a symptom. That might not be the cause. What I really want is to have a reliable water supply, and reliable water supplies can come with some benefits or some common ground for finding strategies that might be beneficial for the environment and for farmers. In specifically, so if a farmer wants to have a good life, to produce the food that all of us in the morning eat, that will be in a way that an environmentalist can have put themselves in the foot of or in the shoes of a farmer and say like, well, actually what this person wants is to have a good economic income, so it can run its business, and that's good. That's part of it. Something that can happen in this shared vision, and vice versa. So why an environmentalist would like to have water? Well, because it appreciates the different kayaking, canoeing, the peace that provides, the tourism that it brings, a healthy ecosystem, a healthy river. To have a healthy, not polluted river, it is something that everyone values and shares. So this shared vision is also sometimes a challenging on our times. Adaptive management, that's another unicorn. The idea that we're going to do these plans, set these measures, and then after 5 years reevaluate and so on. Well, I think that's very romantic. Some of these things are more difficult to implement than actually mentioned, and that comes because politicians come, decision maker comes, they go to a different place, they change jobs, the same institutions change, people that they help to design the plans move to somewhere else, have now different interests, and then all of a sudden the institution and memory and who thought about how to evaluate this is gone. So anyway, so that's some of the aspects. Some of the characteristics. Ideally, we want, again, to integrate these policies and development plans, and development for land, development for energy, mitigating and development for forests and wildlife and all these rangelands. So that's something that we've been discussing. And also this term of sustainability. So in these terms, sustainable water resources are, this was defined by Peter Laux, so with some of you are reading this actually, this chapter, is those systems, and this is a 1997 definition. So those systems design and manage to contribute fully to the objectives of the society, and this can be for energy, for economics, for recreation, for protecting the environment, for production of agriculture, for having a good life at houses, and now and in the future. And the sustainability has always this kind of that is not only for today, but also to keep the resources so future generations can enjoy it, while maintaining the ecological and environmental and hydrologic integrity. And this, the ecological, so all the ecosystems, the environment, the water quality, the hydrologic that is connected from the headwaters to the sea, from surface water to groundwater, from the river into the floodplains, and so on. So you can see it is a very interesting idea. Again, something for, I know that you're getting tired, but something for the trivia as a fun fact. Back in when I was doing my PhD, I was able to write a paper with the person that you're reading the chapter, and yeah, we won an award. That was in 2012. We won this award from the American Society of Civil Engineers, and yeah, that person in green is Peter Laux. In theory, he should be my well, he is my grandfather, academic grandfather. So he was the advisor of my advisor, Dane McKinney. And well, anyway, that's for the fun fact. So we want to work on that one. And then as I was reading in this chapter, well, he put all this, and I do really fell in love with this definition of those systems, how to achieve those systems or provide water resources management policies, strategies, processes that achieve that. Well, in the most updated version, he just summarized it in these are those systems designed to best serve people living in the future as well as those living today. Anyway, so I think he just got hurry up of writing. Some of the challenges. Okay, 17 in a stretch, we're getting there. So one of the things of the challenges that I'm seeing is a radical change in our vision. Think of water as water, and to me that's very important. So we've always we keep thinking about surface water, groundwater, desalinated water, fog water, snow, ground, and water is water, and regardless where it comes and how we use it, water is water. Similarly, that in the legal system, we have regulated in different ways. Thinking the same of water as water in terms of water for urban and industry and agriculture and the environment. We have, oh no, but that comes from surface water. Oh no, that comes from the snow. I think realizing that all these different sources and all these different uses is just at the same, just one, and that we have a limited amount of water and that we have to, one at a time where we have to split it, and that there is no silver bullet, but silver solutions. There are a range of different solutions that will help us to keep doing this balancing between economic, water for human, and water for the environment. That's one of the challenges to change the way that we're thinking. That's one of the things. Environmental and social justice, and in that one, I would say that we've been approaching a lot of these problems again as surface water, groundwater, water for these specific uses, for economic. We've been trying to address this water supply, bring me the water, or this water reliability, bring me to it as much often. We've been trying to do this addressing a specific actions that are not desired, so the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act and those kind of very physically based problems, without actually addressing the environmental and the social consequences. As we're proposing strategies, we are not considering the environment and we're not considering the well-being of all the people in the basin. I can tell you that we have low-income communities, and that can go from our senior citizens to African American, Hispanic, Asian, that do not have access to clean water. This is 2020 and we still have that in California. And that has done not because we haven't passed legislation, we passed SIGMA, yet SIGMA doesn't consider social justice. We were just focusing in so much in the physical, and there were plenty of hydrologists trying to help people in when we were defining this legislation, yet we are still not providing adequate water to all our people. So that's something that I'm seeing as a challenge. This will be a case of too much social injustice, or having not the right people that actually are going to receive the consequences of all of this in the table. That's something that we have lost. Now, challenge or some other challenges is this transdisciplinarity of water. So the first one that we're thinking of in terms of not only being unidisciplinary, only hydrology, multidisciplinary hydrology and climate, and that will be the case of climate change. But this transdisciplinarity, when we understand or we have a formation to think not only as scientists or engineers, but also as social scientists, as lawyers, as understanding the health, the economic system, and as economists, politicians, um, regular citizens, we have lost that context and how to move from one discipline to the other. We're going there, and I think that's one of the challenges that we have to address. In terms of climate change, I mean, something it's this you may think as a joke, but it's not a joke. We're gonna have a Sierra Nevada that we're just gonna call it Sierra because it will not have any Nevada, it will not have any snow. So just think about it. In terms of environmental flows, we have this transdisciplinary between biologists, engineers, hydrologists, lawyers, and all of the people that are around this table trying to come up with strategies to implement it to mitigate the problems of environmental flows, and yet it is still a struggle. It's a novel subdiscipline of water resources management. Water governance and what I was talking to you about these processes. I think that's in many parts of the world, the problem is not about not having enough water. It's to not managing well. You'll be surprised. And even though fresh water is a very small proportion of all the water that we have in the earth, and there are places where we think that we have enough water, but we're just not managing well. And I think that's one of the problems that we're gonna be seeing it. The other one, so we were, unfortunately, I'm perpetuating the problems, the vision that has bring us to this type of crisis that we have. What is that? I was talking about too little, too much, too polluted, too much ecosystem loss. I do think that one of the challenges is not to think about in those silos, but to see through across all of them and be able to provide solutions that address all of them. Um, some of those are, I mean, what we've been discussing in this floodmar or this on-farm managed aquifer recharge as a larger concept. Um, in this case, putting some of that water from floods into aquifers or into other small storages, so you can actually use it later for water supply without having a detriment in the water quality, while still providing good habitat for the ecosystems living there. So we're at that point. This is pretty much in the last 5-10 years when we've been thinking about of this, again, thinking water as water. And I think that's something important. So anyway, I know, I hope that you have taken a pause in this. This was a long lecture, but I think it was very interesting. Again, just if you have any comments, questions, please do send me an email. And thanks for being here.